guy who uses flute and you get I go to
favorite wannabe Ansel Adams pictures I took in Monument Valley. I remember hiking up the base of, like by moonlight,
yeah.
I don't know if the left mitten or right mitten, but you can kind of go up to where it's steep and hike all the way up to.
Thank you for participating in today's meeting. If attending in person, please do not connect to Zoom or teleconference while in the room, and please silence all devices. If translation is provided, click on the globe at the bottom of your screen to select either English or Spanish. Public comment will be taken after each item. If you're in the auditorium and wish to comment, please use the iPads located in the lobby or complete a blue speaker card as available. If you need assistance, please find a South Coast AQMD employee. Speakers may be limited to a total of 3 minutes or less for all agenda items. Times may be shortened to ensure all speakers can be heard. A countdown timer will be displayed on the screen for each public comment. More time will be allotted for Spanish translation that is not simultaneous. For questions or issues on making a public comment, please call the public advisor at 909-396-3247. That's 909-396-3247. Please adhere to the speaker time limit and treat others with courtesy, civility, and respect. Failure to do so can result in your mic being muted or you being removed from the meeting. Be aware that this meeting is being recorded. By participating, you authorize recording of audio and visual content presented during the live event and consent to subsequent use of the recording in the public domain by South Coast AQMD.
Great. Good morning, everybody. Good to see everybody. So kick off our meeting today. We'll start off with agenda item 1, which is review of our governing board agenda for the following week. And as always, let's turn to the page 8 where we start off with staff presentations and then public hearings. So first item we have is item 26. That's incident response overview and efforts related to LA wildfires. This was a presentation that we were going to give at the April board meeting, but we had to postpone it to May because we were running out of time during that April meeting. So it's going to be a joint presentation from several of us because we want to outline all the different aspects that go into incidents response, both for the wildfire as well as when we have these big incidents like the Tustin Hangar fire event. Don't know if you guys have any questions on that, as we've covered that before, but happy to answer anything. Okay. Seeing none, let's move on to the next items, item 27, and that's our Reg 3 rule, and I'll hand that over to Sujata.
Thank you, Sarah. Good morning, everyone. So this item is for the proposed budget for fiscal year 25-26. Just a summary, all fees are increasing by CPI, which it came in at 3%. Permit and annual renewal fees are going up by an additional 1.5% due to the second year phase-in that the board approved last year. And to get cost recovery, fees will be charged in public notice, and applicants have the option to do their own public notice. And also a late fee is being proposed to be charged for reports submitted past the reporting deadline for Rule 2305. And the reassessment of fee in Rule 1180 has been removed and will be amended or added at a later time after discussion with stakeholders. And for that reason, when we talked about the budget at the workshop, our deficit was 3.1 million, and currently the budget is being proposed and will go at 4.3 million. And yeah, happy to answer any questions on that.
So you will withdraw more from the reserve because of increased deficit?
Because the costs are in the budget for Rule 1180, however, we are still in discussions with the stakeholders as to the fee amount. Once that fee amount is set, then we will put that back. We'll bring out the board letter, and then the budget will be kind of made.
I saw some that So maybe someone asked a question about this and they said, no, it's not gonna apply, but aren't some of the monies from 3.17 going to be coming in during that fiscal year? I don't know.
Go ahead, Kalam.
I can keep track of that. So for 317.1 is the cleaner at non-attainment fee when a basin fails to attain
that's
a ozone standard. So we adopted a rule back last year to establish the mechanism to collect the fee. We're currently in the very early phase to implement that rule, trying to establish the universe, find out who's applicable to the rule. And so we're not yet collecting money until 2027. So as part of this budget, it does not include any revenue from 317.1. But as we're closer to collecting the fee, I think we can take a look again.
I will also point out that EPA has not yet issued an official finding of failure to attain.
And 317 is for the 185.
That's correct. Okay, maybe we can thank you, Sujata and Kalam, for that. We can flip the page to page 9, item number 28. And this is a report on South Coast AQMD vacancies, recruitment and retention efforts. And I believe Terry is going to cover that for us.
Good morning, Terry Steele, Human Resources Manager for Retention and Recruitment. This item will be to present a report on agency vacancies and recruitment and retention efforts at a public hearing as required by a new law, AB 2561. The report covers information for calendar year 2024. The law provides for an opportunity for the unions to present information at the public hearing, and we are informed that PDA and Teamsters will make a presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Terry on that? I see a hand up, Deborah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just couldn't hear because the microphone is closer. You said that you are expecting 2 union groups to speak. Can you just repeat that portion of your report, please?
Yeah, PDA and Teamsters have informed us that they will make a presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, with that, thank you very much,
Is
Terry.
recruiting
Oh.
going okay?
Is recruiting going okay?
Yeah, I can read some more information about the vacancies if you,
No, that's okay.
yes,
I just assume this is still a desirable place to work for college grads and such. I'm hoping.
I believe it is.
would you like me to, I have additional information?
No, that's okay.
Okay, thanks very much for that, Terry. Let's flip to the beginning of our board agenda now. So we're at page 3, and we have a public hearing on Rule 1171, and I'll turn that over to Heather.
Hi, morning, everybody. Heather Farr, Planning and Rules Manager. Yeah, 1171 is our latest VOC rule where we're proposing to phase out of the use of 2 chemicals that the Office of Environmental Health Hazard Assessment has determined to be potential carcinogens. So tertiary butyl acetate or TBAC or parachlorobenzotrifluoride, PCBPF. They are used in some solvent cleaning, not as much as we have found in other rules. We are actually proposing a pretty short phase out of January 1, 2026, but allow a 1-year use through and a 1-year sell through and a 2-year use through in case there are products that are being used in the field from time to use through that. We also are proposing some changes to allow for some liquid use of cleaning materials for the utilities. With that, I'll take any questions.
Deborah, I see your hand is up.
Hi, yes, sorry about that. So Heather, I know that there was some concerns raised by the construction industry folks. Have you been working with them to respond to the letter that was submitted to the board? And if so, will we be seeing some responses to those comments?
Yeah, we're working, there's a few comments that we've received that we're still working through with the stakeholders. So we will be proposing some changes in our 30-day package that'll come out in a couple weeks.
Does that include the monthly limit? I think I saw some input where they were concerned about the monthly limit.
We made some changes to our aerosol exemption where it was a daily limit. We were actually asked to make it more of a monthly limit so that it helps their operational needs instead of being tied to daily. And so there are some record keeping with that we're trying to work on as well.
Just a scheduling question, going in June, and then you're also going with 11/11 and 11/21. I think there will be a whole lot of public speakers on those.
Yes, I can guarantee there will be.
Yeah, so you think schedule wise, you can do both, is that okay, or,
Yep, believe that's the plan.
okay?
I'm like, we'll look at that, but yeah, I'm like, and we have had, I think that it's fair to say that it'll be a lengthy meeting, and we've had lengthy meetings in the past too, but yeah.
Sure, it'll be a long, important.
Yeah. Okay.
They'll have cots in here.
Okay, thanks for that, Heather. If there's no other questions, let's flip the page.
Can I,
Oh, go
quick
ahead.
question on 11/11? Just an arithmetic question. So let's,
So that's, if I may, if you're on 11/11, that's kind of, we have space for like other items.
okay,
We
well, it's
skip
just,
the
it's on.
agenda?
Okay, that's
Right.
fine.
Okay, item number 3, this is the execute contract on linear generators, and Vasilius, I believe you're gonna cover that for us.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Vasilios Papapostolou, Technology Demonstration Manager in the Technology Advancement Office. So this item is, we're requesting approval to have a linear generator by mainspring demonstrated at the Cal State Long Beach. So this system will produce electricity and will use heat to provide hot water in the Cal State Long Beach buildings. Also, it will use, it will help to improve the thermal management aspect of the facilities there. So it's a California Energy Commission award at $4 million, and South Coast AQMD is contributing $660,000, and there is other cost share as well for a total of $5 million.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Questions for Vasilius? All right, moving on to item number 4, and I believe Cynthia, you're gonna cover that for us.
Yes, thank you, Cynthia Bravenstein, Planning and Manager and Technology Advancement Office. And the board had previously authorized the development of a Carl Moyer program grant management system. And at this time, the system provides an online application submittal and evaluation process, also an inspections module and integration with the district's on-base system. And the final phase of development of the system would require integration of an invoicing module and an annual report tracker. So the current proposal is to transfer $135,000 from the administrative portion of the Carl Moyer Fund into information management's budget for the further development and maintenance of the Carl Moyer grant management system. Happy to address questions.
All right, seeing no questions there, let's move on to the next item, item number 5, and that's back to Vasilius.
Thank you. Vasilios again, Tech Demo Manager. This item is about executing an agreement, a donation agreement between AQMD and ChargePoint. This is the hardware provider for the replacement of our existing electric vehicle supply equipment network here at South Coast AQMD headquarters parking lot. So back in January, the board approved this executing a contract with Inward Energy Solutions, and now the hardware will be going through a donation process where existing hardware will be donated to that company, Newhall Land and Management Company, and when that donation is released, then the new systems, the new hardware, the new chargers will be provided to Greenwood Energy Solutions for installation at our parking lot. And that hardware is by ChargePoint. Thank you.
So the old chargers like refurbished and reused or just recycled?
Yeah, so that company, Newhall, is a land management company, and they will provide second life to as many of the existing chargers as possible. And that's how we've been able to source that program and have that $370,000 for the hardware all covered through that donation program. And we have to sign that agreement for it to move forward.
Cool.
The questions for Vasilius? Okay, I think we flipped the page onto item number 6 now, and that is for Jason Lowe.
Zoom's a little slow. It needs a little caffeine this morning. So Jason Lowe, Deputy Executive Officer of Monitoring Analysis. So good morning, everyone. So this item is for supporting the VOC sensor capabilities of the AQ spec program. This particular action is to transfer up to $60,000 between the major objects in the monitoring analysis budget and issue a purchase order for air monitoring device. It's a pre-concentrator for the VOC chamber. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jason. Seeing no questions on that. The next 3 items are Ron's. So Ron, why don't you take us away?
Good morning, Ron Moskowitz, Chief Information Officer, Deputy Executive Officer. First one is action to obtain approval for sole source. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Sole source purchase for on-base software subscription and support for 1 year for information management's fiscal year 24-25 budget, and the amount not to exceed $210,000. Funds for this purchase are included in our budget, and I'm happy to answer any questions. And seeing no questions, we'll go to the next item. This action is to obtain approval for the purchase of Zoom subscription and support for 1 year from information management fiscal year 24-25 budget, and the amount not to exceed $130,000. Funds for this purchase are included in our budget, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Okay, and the last one is a standard request to amend contracts for additional system development requests. Funds are available in our budget, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great, thanks, Ron. No, I'm not seeing any questions on this end, so we'll move on to item 10, and that is Sujata's.
Yes, good morning again. So this item is a routine item to approve compensation for board member assistants for fiscal year 25-26, and this amount will be included in the 25-26 budget. Any questions?
Just one observation, Sujata. And I think it was brought up at the admin committee as well. What I understand fully the formula, it's in the administrative code and we can all see that, but it would be helpful if we could see what the you kind of show your, if staff in the future could show the work. In other words, instead of just having the points for each board member, have what committees they're on and how that, and what the formula that was, and insert the formula there so we can see how that point calculation was derived.
Yeah, absolutely, Deborah. I have provided some of that information, and I believe Susan is probably looking into that. So most likely, once the board letter gets in, it will have that information.
Excellent.
But just in a nutshell, just like you said, there are points given based on the board member's designation as a chair, vice chair, or member of that committee, and each committee has a set of points, and once those are aggregated, those points are then divided by the vice chair's points, and a percentage is derived, and then that percentage is multiplied by the vice chair's dollars, and that's how it's given. And I have already provided some of that information, and this board letter will most likely have those attachments.
So in a nutshell too, if the vice chair's points are ever changed, then the denominator changes in that formula. And if committee assignments change for a board member, then the numerator, numerator is changed. So I actually, it's not often that I understand math, but I did understand this formula and this math.
Yes.
But yes. I know my board members often will ask me, well, why does this board member have this many points? And I'm not exactly, I can give them the formula, but I don't know the committee assignments to put into that formula. So I appreciate your clarification. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Great, thanks.
So we don't have to unionize?
Well, maybe.
Okay, moving on, item 11, and we're back to Cynthia for that.
Thank you, Logan. So the MSRC and the board had previously offered an award to the Los Angeles County Clean Tech Incubator that's been installed in Los Angeles. There were identified to be 2 locations. These are actually 2 parcels that are like across the street from each other. It turns out while there are still going to be 2 parcels involved in the project, the final design is to put all of the charging stalls on one of the parcels and then have the other parcel be a trailer drop lot. So there's no change in the number of so this is just to prove the change in the number of locations for the chargers.
Great, thank you, Cynthia. All right, moving on to the next items 12 through 17. These are information only, receive and file. Any questions on these items? Okay, and then the next items 18 through 24. These are reports from committee. Any questions on these? Okay, great. That concludes our review of the board agenda. So that's item 1 of our meeting agenda today. At this point, is there any public comments on item 1? Not seeing any public comment on that. Moving on to our second agenda item, any other business?
So just an arithmetic question on 1111. So start with the first phase, 17030. So if you sell 100 units and you sell 30 NOx units, you're paying $100 for each of those units. And then if you sell 6832, you're going to pay 32 times 100 plus 2 times 500 for the.
Yeah, so any of the ones that are over that, right?
Okay, so you're paying 100 for every NOx unit.
Right.
And then when you exceed your whatever, then.
That's right.
The bigger penalty kicks in.
Can I clarify that number? Because I think you said 100 on the 32 plus 500.
On 2.
Yeah.
Plus 400. Is it the differential?
No.
Under the fee is 100, over the fee is 500. So all the units that are sold under the sales target would be 100. Anything above the sales target would be 500 for furnaces. On the water heating side, it's different.
So it would be 30 at 100 and 2 at 500, not 32 at 100 plus 2 at 500.
Oh, so it's not 600 for the.
Right.
No.
Right.
Okay, so those 2 are only
Yes.
500.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
the money, the initial money only applies to the gas.
It's only for the gas appliances that are being
Right.
sold.
I have a question. I don't know if your staff have done this, but do you have any concept in regard to how much mitigation fees you'll be getting? And especially just like the first year.
So if the targets are met like precisely and it's just at 150, that's an easy number we can figure out. If it's over the target, that's a little more complicated.
Right.
But if it's for that 70-30, it's around 26,000. 26 million. And then as it goes lower and the targets are lower, again, if they're met, it'll dwindle down to more like 4 million.
And are you, as soon as you get the 26 million in, next year, you'll be taking some of those monies out to encourage people to purchase whatever.
Yeah.
That'll fund the Go Zero.
The Go Zero incentive program, which just for reference that we're gonna launch our pilot phase, which is 21 million. So it will be close to what our pilot is.
Does that have any reaction to the tiered penalties the environmental community suggesting? The 500 for the first 10% and whatever the number is?
I can say that the manufacturer.
Heather, why don't you answer that question? But I did want to note that other business is limited to brief questions and brief responses. It's not an agendized item. So let's answer that and then we can move on, I'd suggest.
The manufacturers certainly have a lot of concern of managing that fee that's below the target and the fee that is above. So it would be, that much more challenging with that tiered system.
Then we're trying to balance incentive versus cost to the consumer. So,
Deborah, I see you have your hand raised.
I do, but for another, not on this item. So when you.
Okay. All right. I think we're wrapping this item up. Thank you, Bay, for that reminder. Deborah, go ahead.
Bay will be happy because this is a short question. With regard to the intern program that is starting May 27th for those interns that are going 10 weeks, and it starts June 6th for those that are going 8 weeks. Since we're a month out from that, I was just wondering when the interns will be, or have they been notified of the selections from the board members?
Terry?
Actually, today and tomorrow. There are, those who have been selected will be receiving a notification today and tomorrow.
Thank you.
Can I follow up on that? So if I heard Deborah's dates right, the 1 week difference in the start, but the 2 week difference in the duration, so do they end at different times?
They end at the same time. They're due to different schedules of the universities. The May 27th was the start date to capture those who are ending school earlier, and June 10th is the start
Oh,
date.
June 10th, I'm sorry. I thought I heard early in June. So the 2 week difference, got it. Sorry, I misheard.
Great. Thank you for that. One more.
Just one more thing. So after we finish 11/11, the next big rule will be the ports ISR. And there's a working group meeting tomorrow morning.
Yes.
So those are, if you want to really get into the weeds on a rule, the working group meetings can be helpful if you.
This is a personal question. May I ask a personal question? Tomorrow, I have a doctor's appointment early on. How long will this meeting be going? So I don't know if I should attend or if it's going to go
I have
for
a dentist
another
appointment at 11,
hour.
so I'll be online.
It's gonna be 2 or 3 hour meeting.
I would imagine this is a fairly robust meeting. Ian just came on camera. Ian, do you have any additional intelligence on that?
Okay.
Our meetings typically go 2 to 3 hours. But if they
Okay.
need to go longer, we'll let it go longer.
I'd say at least 3.
But if you have time to listen in, turn on your computer on your desk. They're worth listening to.
Where is this meeting gonna be held here?
GB.
Yeah, room GB. But we'll do it as a hybrid meeting, so it'll also be available via Zoom.
Okay.
Okay, great. Thanks. Okay, with that, let's move on to general public comments. Any general public comments out there? All right, seeing none, let's adjourn the meeting. Thanks everybody for attending, and we'll see you soon.
Say immediate total solar conversions. Harvey.